Dale Earnhardt Jr. has lashed out at NASCAR and of the drivers that came into Darlington needing a victory, such as Chase Briscoe, Ross Chastain, and Kyle Busch, for failing to do enough to put themselves in a position to win throughout the weekend. Is the current win-and-you're-in system flawed? Outside of the top 16, it was make or break time for the drivers, and Briscoe, Chastain, and Busch left nothing to chance. Regarding the remainder of the field on the outside looking in, Earnhardt Jr. revealed why he feels many drivers did not take the required risks to win their first race of 2024, which disappointed him. There's no hiding at Darlington and there's no lucking into a win there. There's no sort of average driver that gets an incredible car and wins there. Even in that scenario, you're going to get beat, Earnhardt Jr. stated via the latest episode of the Dale Jr. Download. It's a very slick, narrow, unpredictable track, but the both ends being so completely different from each other, 1 and 2 in Darlington are one of the most nail-biting, intimidating corners at any oval racetrack in North America. Just trying to get through there by yourself, let alone on the racetrack with 40 other cars, is so tough, and you do that all night long, and you have to run inches from the wall trying not to damage your car. It's hard to do, and so only the good ones, only the really, really good ones, will get wins at that racetrack. Chase Briscoe comes into the final race of the year, not in the playoffs, going to have to win. He was one of many drivers trying to go in and try to have a walk-off home run, or whatever you want to call it, a Game 7 moment. So, he had a really fast car, ran P2. Ran really well all night long. Never really got an opportunity to sort of go toe-to-toe with Kyle Larson throughout most of the night. But it seemed like, as the race got later and the track changed somewhat, something changed. But Larson's competitiveness sort of faded, and Briscoe took advantage of it. Great move down the back straightaway on a late restart, P4 to P1. What a move. So, taking advantage of some drivers taking advantage of Ross Chastain who had stayed out. I like that move. Look, Chastain didn't have a chance in hell staying out on old tires. But what else are you going to do? He's also got to win the race. I saw a few other drivers that were also in must-win scenarios not taking those chances. I'm thinking, what are you doing? There were a couple of drivers that needed to win the race that didn't come down pit road to get tires on that one caution, and so I'm like, man, you're not even trying to put yourself in an offensive position. And so, even though Ross probably didn't have much of a chance on the older tires, I thought it was really cool that he tried, and his team said, hell with it, we're gonna stay out. While Chastain's choice did not bring him into the playoffs, it was the sort of move he needed to make to put all of his chips in the middle of the table. In the end, he departed Darlington with a top 5 finish and a solid performance at the Lady in Black. Chase Briscoe advanced to the playoffs, but Kyle Busch nearly ran down the number 14 in the final laps. The remainder of the field that missed the playoffs is receiving an earful from Dale Earnhardt Jr., and they will spend the winter wondering what could have been if they had taken more chances. The final laps of this past Sunday's Southern 500 at Darlington were as fierce as we've seen this season in the NASCAR Cup Series. With Chase Briscoe leading and Kyle Busch pursuing him, the two winless drivers competed for a berth in the 16-driver postseason. Viewers were able to ride along with Busch in his numbered 8 Chevrolet as he swiftly moved from 10th to 2nd after the final restart, thanks to a fresh set of tires. For the final 10 laps or so, NBC Sports displayed the onboard camera in Busch's car, giving the public a real-time viewpoint as he pursued Briscoe. Dale Earnhardt Jr. praised NBC Sports' use of the in-car camera, saying it made spectators feel like they were in the passenger seat with Kyle Busch. Dale Earnhardt Jr. recounts Chase Briscoe and Kyle Busch's struggle at Darlington. One of the drivers that was smart and put tires on his car and gave himself an offensive chance was Kyle Busch, Earnhardt said. Man, it was fun to sit inside that car and ride with Kyle as he tried to track down Chase Briscoe in those final laps. We talk about the broadcast a lot and how important it is to show the fans how incredible the racing is, and if the broadcast doesn't, you can have an amazing race. But if the broadcast doesn't take you there and doesn't show you why it's amazing, you'll never know it. They did a really smart thing by sitting inside the race car more than usual in those moments. It put us in the passenger seat with Kyle Busch as he's doing everything possible trying to find just a little bit more speed to chase down a guy who's driving with his hair on fire in Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe's sitting there going, here's my moment. I've got to do this not only to try to make the playoffs, but SHR's shutting down, 350 employees all trying to figure out where they're going to go to work next year. This is his chance to sort of give them something to be excited about. He's also looking in the mirror and seeing one of the best drivers in the series chasing him down, and he has 3-lap better tires. Kyle Busch aims to continue his recent great runs. Despite getting close, he was unable to pass on Briscoe. The Stewart-Haas racing driver held on to grab the checkered flag, ending a 93-race winless skid and advancing to the postseason. Busch came up just short at Darlington, but it was another positive outcome in a season that has been maybe his most difficult in the Cup Series. He enters the remaining 10 races of the season on a 3-race top 5 streak, which he aims to extend. This Morgan and Morgan Chevrolet, they turned it around these last 4 or 5 weeks and we've run a lot better. That's been much improved, beneficial to our team and the organization, Busch said after the race. Something to build on and get better for. We just missed a lot in the early part of the year. Through the middle part of the year, to put ourselves in this spot, to be on the outside looking in, to come in here for a last-ditch effort and have a shot. Early in the race, I wouldn't have thought we had a shot. So felt like we really overachieved towards the end, and got a really good finish for what we had or what I thought we had. We'll take that and keep building on it. So, no playoffs for Kyle Busch, but we do have some other surprises. And you might think without playoff points, they're doomed. And well, you're kind of right. According to NASCAR experts Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi of The Athletic, drivers need not be concerned about playoff points because they will most likely be eliminated if they do not win a race. It's all about winning, Gluck said on the Teardown podcast. You have the 11th place guy in points, he didn't make it. Chris Buescher 11th in points, Bubba Wallace 12th in points, it wasn't good enough. Martin Truex Jr. 10th in points, only made it by 6 ultimately tonight. This is a system that is all about winning. How this regular season has ended, let's say Austin Dillon's win had stood, you would had 15 different winners counting towards the playoffs. As it was, you had 14 count towards the playoffs with only 2 spots available. You almost had only 1. I just think in the future, you have to go in and forget points. The entire Buescher-Bubba Wallace discussion was irrelevant / they would have had to win because Briscoe won. In the future, I think you just look at this and you go, alright, we have 26 races to win, we have to do it. If we don't, we're probably not going to make it. Gluck also stated that the playoff system made the regular season more appealing, and Bianchi concurred. It's a fantastic regular season. If you come into the regular season now, you have to have the mentality of we need to get a win. We'll worry about getting points and everything else and worrying about the regular season championship later, Bianchi said. First and foremost, we have got to win to lock ourselves in. Every year now, you are maybe going to have 2 spots open, and if the Dillon thing doesn't happen, that really throws a monkey wrench in all of this. You need to win early in this system to take that pressure off because the longer you go without winning, it doesn't matter how big your point lead is. The playoffs begin on Sunday, September 8th, with racers competing in the Quaker State 400 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. There will be 10 playoff races, including the championship event, at Phoenix Raceway on November 10th. Who will take the title at the end of the season, and who will be gone after the first round of playoffs? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.